What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. Today we are going to be wear testing the Burberry Beyond Wear Foundation and Concealer. Now these are not new releases from the brand. They did launch about a year or so ago at this point, but I've never tried either of these before, and in fact, I've never tried anything from Burberry before. It is a brand that has been on my wish list of brands to try for a very long time, so I'm really excited about this. But I came across both of these when I was browsing the Nordstrom website, and I just couldn't resist. First of all, I'm a sucker for luxury makeup, but I'm an even bigger sucker for a foundation, so I decided to go ahead, pick both of these up, give them a whirl, and see how they're going to work on my skin. For reference, I am 39 years old, and I have normal dry leaning skin. The older I get, the drier it seems to get. It's a whole thing. My skin has been on quite the journey over the past couple of years, but generally I prefer a more light to medium coverage foundation, and I want something that's going to have a more natural skin-like finish. But with that being said, I do have foundations in my collection that I absolutely love that do not fit into that little sphere, so I'm really open to trying pretty much anything. You never know what you're going to fall in love with, and you never know what's going to work for your skin. Another thing to take into consideration, I live in a very hot, humid climate. I'm in Houston, Texas. It is hot and humid year-round, and it can be really hard to find something that's going to hold up to that heat and humidity. But I will have both of these products listed and linked down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I use in today's video. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But we're gonna go ahead and get my hair out of my face, zoom in a little bit, and we're gonna jump into this foundation and concealer. Alright, before we jump into the application, I just wanted to mention that I'm not wearing a primer on my skin, and I'm not going to apply a primer. Generally, whenever I try out a foundation for the first time, I like to give it a good test run on its own. I really want to see the true power behind the foundation and how it's going to apply, wear, and hold up throughout the day, because obviously primers, powders, and setting sprays are meant to extend the longevity of your makeup, but I want to see what this is going to do on its own in case you're someone who doesn't use any of those products, because I know there's a lot of people that truly don't. But as I continue to test out these products, I will start pairing them with different primers, powders, and setting sprays, and really see if that's going to extend the life and what it's going to do as far as wear goes. But let's go ahead and jump into this because I'm really excited about this foundation. So this is the Burberry Beyond Wear Foundation. It does come in a glass bottle, and this is going to be a plastic lid. It does feel really nice. It has the little Burberry logo on the front, and it does come with a pump. Now this is going to retail for $60, and it does come in 38 different shades. Not the best shade range, I admit. It's decent enough, but it could definitely go a lot darker than it does. I do have the shade 10 Fair Cool, so I am very fair. I do have a cool undertone, so generally I go for the lightest with a fair or with a cool undertone. Sometimes it's too light. I can make it work by adjusting it, so if I need to, I'll do that later, but for today, we're just going for the foundation. Now, according to this brand, this is going to be for all skin types, and it's going to help even out the complexion, blur the look of pores, and help protect skin from external environmental factors, leaving it smooth with a natural matte finish. Its breathable, lightweight formula allows you to build coverage from medium to full. Its ultra sensory, creamy texture blends seamlessly to deliver all-day stay true color. Inspired by the revolutionary fabric of the iconic Burberry trench, Trench Protect technology emulates the same properties, acting as a shield to deliver breathable weather protection, high resistance, and comfort to the skin. It creates a thin, water-resistant yet breathable film on your complexion, guarding against sweat, humidity, and heat. That is a lot of hefty claims for this little bitty bottle, so we'll see what it's gonna do. Today's probably not going to be the best for heat and humidity because it's like 50 degrees outside. It's absolutely beautiful, but I will continue to test it out down the road. But let's go ahead and apply this. So I'm going to apply it to one half of my face with a brush, and then we'll do a side-by-side comparison, see what the coverage looks like, and then we'll apply it to the other side with a sponge. I'm someone who kind of goes back and forth between a sponge and a brush. It just kind of depends on the mood. It depends on the foundation. I do have some foundations in my collection that I just think look better on my skin with a brush, and then I have others that I think look better with a sponge. This does have a very heavy fragrance. It's not putrid or overwhelming. It does smell really good. I can smell it whenever I'm applying it, like around my mouth and my nose, but as I'm sitting here like this, I can't smell it. But if you're someone who doesn't like a lot of fragrance in your makeup, this may not be for you, but if you don't mind it, especially if it's not going to hang around, I think this will be okay. Now, that is too light for my skin, so I will have to adjust it, which is fine. I don't mind doing that because it can be really hard to find the perfect match for me. Now, if it was unfixable, I would 100% return this, exchange it or whatever, but I don't live very close to a Nordstrom, so it's kind of a pain in the butt for me, and I'm not up to doing it by mail. But we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit more on the forehead. This is going on really nicely. It doesn't feel heavy or cakey. It definitely looks nice on the skin. It's kind of hard to see beyond the fact that it's so incredibly pale next to my skin, but it's definitely giving a good medium coverage. You can see a little bit of my redness still poking through, a little bit of those kind of blemishes that I still have from that Dolce & Gabbana foundation. I really should learn my lesson about using foundations that have SPF in them, but that does look nice on the skin. You have to look beyond the color, like I said, but it's sitting really nicely. It's not cakey, it's not grabbing, it's not setting funny into my lines or anything like that. So far, based off of first application, I do think that looks really nice, but let's go ahead and do the other side with a sponge. So I have my damp sponge right here, and we're just gonna kind of start bouncing this on the skin and applying it. Now, this is definitely going to thin out the coverage, so if you want something that's going to be more on the light to medium side of things, a makeup sponge is the way to go, especially if it's dampened, because that little bit of moisture is going to just kind of dilute the foundation a little bit. But if you want a full coverage, I definitely suggest going in with a brush, because you're going to waste a lot of product by trying to build it up with a sponge. But I do like the way that it's applying. I think it applied a little more evenly with the brush over here, but I'm not mad about it. All right, so this is what the complexion is looking like, and aside from it being way too light for me, I do think it looks really nice, and hopefully it'll look even better once I bring a little bit of color back to the skin with bronzer and blush. But if I'm looking at my complexion up close, I do feel like it's kind of sitting on top of the skin around my nose and mouth. It looks a little cakey and a little makeup-y. It doesn't feel heavy or look heavy. It looks like it just hasn't warmed up and meshed into my skin. So I'm hoping as time goes on, it'll start to do that like it claims it's going to. But I do think, based off of first application, that the side that I applied with the brush just looks more even and it looks a little bit better. While I like the coverage with the sponge over here, it just doesn't look quite as even. It looks a little bit splotchy, but we'll see how it goes as I continue to test out this foundation. This is a first impression, but let's go ahead and move on to concealer. All right, y'all, so this is the Beyond Wear Perfecting Concealer, and this one's going to retail for $45. Now, this does look a lot like the component that the foundation comes in, except this isn't going to be glass. It does have a doe foot applicator right here, and this comes in 20 different shades. Not a great shade range, I know, but I have the shade 20 Fair Neutral, and I don't know if they were sold out of the lighter shades when I picked this one up or if I just missed it, because the way that Nordstrom has their shades laid out, it's not in order from like lightest to darkest or darkest to lightest. They're kind of all jumbled up, so you really have to pay close attention, and maybe I missed them, who knows. They do have a lighter one with a more cool undertone, but I think this is going to be a better shade match for me. Compared to the foundation, it looks very dark, very warm, but as you can see, the foundation is not the best shade match for me. So I think once I can kind of balance this out, this will look really good. So my under eyes may look a little bit dark today, but according to the brand, this is designed to suit a broad range of skin tones. Okay, it provides 12-hour correction and wear. Formulated with coated pigments, this long-lasting concealer allows for a targeted, buildable full coverage of blemishes, imperfections, and under-eye dark circles. Long-lasting active care, enriched with bisabolol for a soothing feeling on the skin throughout the day, and white lupin protein to respect the skin's moisture barrier. It's going to be water, humidity, sweat, heat resistant to protect makeup, and let's see, what else does it have? It's got antioxidants and anti-pollution properties to protect against external environmental factors. Again, lots and lots of claims. We'll see how this works. I don't generally have a preference as far as coverage for my concealer goes. I don't like anything thick, cakey, or heavy. I like something to be a little bit more hydrating, and really I like it to be a little bit more on the thinner side. But as far as coverage cares, or goes, I could care less if it's going to be light or full coverage, as long as it doesn't accentuate the little lines under my eyes. But let's go ahead and start applying this. So I'm just gonna do a little bit right here. Yeah, that looks really dark next to the foundation, but we're gonna roll with it. So I'm going to blend in the one side over here with a brush, and then we'll do the other one with a sponge. So I'm just gonna go in with my BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A506 brush, and I'm just gonna start to kind of press this in. I don't wanna swipe because I don't wanna like disrupt the skin under my eyes. It's very thin, and I also wanna keep as much coverage as I can with the concealer. That looks really good, but like I said, next to the foundation, it looks too dark, but it's okay. I'm not going anywhere today. I'm not going out in public, so nobody's going to know except for us right here. All right, so now I'm just taking my damp sponge and I am doing the same thing over here. I'm just kind of pressing it into the skin and blending it out, and we're gonna see what this does. All right, so I definitely once again got a lighter coverage over here with the sponge, and I got a little bit more full coverage over here. I think it looks really nice from a distance, and even up close I think it looks really nice as well. I do like the way that it went on better with the sponge than I do with the brush, just because it does look a little heavy under my eyes. If it's a self-setting concealer, I think it'll be fine, but if I have to set it with powder, I'm a little concerned that it might look a little heavy and cakey under my eyes. We're not going to set it with powder today because, like I said, I want to see how this is going to wear on its own, but I do think that the skin or the shade is a nice match to my skin tone, and yeah, I think it looks really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and apply bronzer, blush, and highlighter, and I will come back and show you what my complexion looks like all completed. All right, so this is what the complexion is looking like now that I've added a little bit of color back to the skin, and I do think it looks so much better. Yes, the foundation is still a smidge too light for me, but it's not nearly as stark as it was when I first applied it. I think moving on in the future, I'll definitely be going in with my Makeup by Mario bronzing serum just to add a little bit of color back to this foundation and deepen it up a little bit. I absolutely love this for deepening up foundations. This one is in the shade Fair, and it's too light for me as a bronzer, but it works that way perfectly. But as far as bronzer, blush, and highlighter go, I went in with my Auric Mirage Shift palette in the shade Daybreak. I absolutely love this. It's an all cream formula. It performs beautifully. I never experienced any issues, and I didn't today either with this foundation. It didn't lift, it didn't pill, grab, patch, or do anything weird. I never like to go in with new products when I'm doing a foundation wear test, because if you come across any problems, you don't know who the culprit was and who the problem child was. So I like to stick to things that I know and love, and I do think this looks really nice. It's definitely starting to warm up to my skin a little bit and start to mesh a little bit better. It doesn't look quite as cakey and heavy around my mouth as it did when I first applied it, but I'm gonna go ahead and go throughout my day. I will come back later this evening, show you what the complexion is looking like, see how it wore, and give you some of my first initial impression thoughts. Alright y'all, so it is the end of the day. I've had this makeup on for about 9.5 hours at this point, so not as long as I typically wear a full face of makeup, but long enough to get a good feel for how this one is going to hold up. And honestly, I think it looks really good on my skin. It is definitely one of those that the longer I had it on, it sort of kind of warmed up and melted into my skin, and it's sitting beautifully on my skin. It's not accentuating the lines on my forehead, it's not caking up, it's not breaking apart or doing anything weird. Even right here where my glasses sit, it did move around a little bit, but not as much as you would think for a foundation that doesn't have powder and setting spray to kind of hold it in place. And even the concealer under my eyes I think looks really good as well. It's not creasing, it's not moving around or doing anything, and I really didn't even get any transfer from my eyeshadow. So I think it's definitely a very self-setting concealer, but you could probably go in with a light bit of powder as well if you feel like it's necessary, especially if you're going to do some bright colors and things like that. But I'm really impressed with the way this held up. I like the way that it looks on my skin. I just want to kind of play around with the shade match a little bit because I think I'll like it even more if it blends with my skin better than it does right now. But I'm really impressed with it. I think it looks beautiful. I definitely want to try it out with like some more hydrating primers and maybe even a mix-in to give it a little bit of a glow, just because I'm not a huge fan of a matte foundation, and this one definitely wears very matte. It's not a soft matte or anything like like that, but I'm impressed with it based off of first impression, which is a good thing because it was an expensive foundation and I'm happy to keep testing with it. I hate it when I find one that I really don't like and I have to take it back because I don't like returning makeup, but I'm also not the type to hold on to it just for the sake of holding on to it. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you've tried this foundation before, if you have, what you thought about it, and let me know what your favorite foundation is and what you prefer in a foundation. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.